I was an anthropology professor at York University for many years in Toronto, and I used to enjoy teaching a course on housing alternatives around the world. And I had done a lot of my anthropology research in Vanuatu, an island country in the South Pacific. But I also like to include something North American in my cross-cultural courses to make us just more aware of our own assumptions about housing and what we're looking for beyond a house that will increase in value. So I taught about eco-villages, and I taught about co-housing once it was developed, which was in the late 80s in Europe. And Charles Durrett and Catherine McCammett wrote a book. That book led to the creation of the first probably 100 co-housing communities in the US, mostly on the West Coast. And it led to the introduction of the first few in Canada, mostly on the West Coast also. A friend of mine who was an osteopath here in Souk, named Gail Abernethy, and we were both putting our mothers into care homes. And it was just miserable for everybody. And we realized that we couldn't afford what we were doing for our mothers, and we didn't want it. And so what could we do that was different? And I said, I know, how about co-housing? And we called a meeting above the local grocery store. A lot of people showed up, and we were on our way. I found myself without the people that I had thought were going to lead it, because they were very skilled at this sort of thing. And I've heard of Co-Housing Development Consulting, which is the firm based in Burnaby that has created most of the co-housing in Canada. So once that partnership was in place, I began to believe that we could succeed. And it all built from there. It was word of mouth, no fancy advertising. People came, they took the course. It was love at first sight for a lot of people. We moved in here in January 2016. We had been planning the community since 2011. It took us quite a while to figure out how to do this thing called co-housing and to find co-housing development consulting, to attract a membership and to identify a construction firm that could work in our little village. So we're located in Souk. We look south across the Strait of Juan de Fuca at the Olympic Peninsula of Washington State. We purchased this land from a mariner, Captain Ralph Hull, and he helped to make it happen by taking back the financing. And he became a member of the group and still lives here in one of the duplexes on the property. Once we had the land, we reckoned with the topography, which is pretty straight up and down. It's a very vertical property. That gave us all the opportunity to have the views that we wanted, but we had to deal with how we were going to navigate that. One of the synergies of this project was that few of us could afford waterfront, but together we could. So we talk about the power of 31. 31 units can do that. Harbourside established a connection with Shirley Alphonse, who's the spiritual leader or elder for the Sauk Nation. And she performed a blessing when we did the groundbreaking. She came for a blessing when we opened it. She's also I think there's a technical term for this, but the elder for the premier. So we have everything that we need. We are not next to a hospital, which some people interested in senior co-housing thought was important, but we didn't. We'd rather be next to the ocean. This is where my heart is. Harbourside is very dear to me. It's full of caring for each other. It's full of connection to nature.
Oh, what have we found? We found a wonderful life here. We found a wonderful community here. And you know, the COVID times that we're living through reinforces the wisdom of this kind of community, because we hear other seniors, friends, speak about the problems of isolation during these times. I can honestly say that my daily life is very little impacted. In terms of social interaction, I have plenty of it every day.
We aren't just passive residents.
Yeah.
We're part of the community, and we take our various roles on teams and work groups and committees seriously. So I'm probably more engaged in the running of something here than I was living in retirement in a condo in Calgary.
The ocean really nourishes me, the view. I think the first few months we never looked at anything on the television. We would just sit in the evening and look at the view, and it's constantly changing and very nourishing to see all the wildlife flying around and the ever-changing sky. I've fallen in love with the sky.
It is when I smell the smell of a meal that we're going to share, and I hear the sounds of people who've gathered for that. It brought me to tears in the early days of Harbourside. It's like, this is what we've been working for. And I know that when I walk into this beautiful space, there will be my neighbors, and we'll have a chance to connect.
I love eating what we grow and cook, and that just feels so much better than having somebody else serve me what they think is nutritional.
Oh, the common challenges that people find living in cohousing are usually themselves. I come up against myself more often than I come up against anybody else. And the opportunity to see that and the humor thing comes in here. It's really good to be able to laugh at it, hold it lightly, and learn and grow. So when I do a regular workshop that's required for new cohousing groups in this area, and one of the big lessons in it is if you're not interested in personal growth, cohousing is not for you. It's just not worth it.
The fact that we have all come from various places with various sets of skills and various backgrounds, and so there's a challenge of how to live together. By coming here, we have no restrictions on who can buy here. It's self-selection. And so this is the mix that we are given, and we are challenged to find a way to fit in and to get along.
I think the biggest challenge is always communication. So I think that's always work for groups to listen to each other, make space for the quietest voice, and to try and understand what's maybe underneath the message.
I think another challenge is our decision-making process, which is decision-making by consensus rather than majority vote. And for most of us, that's a new experience. It's a challenge, but it's a healthy challenge.
I love the opportunity to work through conflict. I don't always love conflict, but I love the opportunity to figure it out and to puzzle out solutions to the eternal problems that humans come up against around. And I like to laugh with people here about in Vanuatu, in a really isolated little village of 25 people, it's the same problems. So there are continuous opportunities for us to learn and to puzzle it out. And another thing I love about Harbourside is the rampant senses of humor, which help to keep us all in a happy place. The difference between senior-focused and intergenerational cohousing is that in the senior-focused cohousing, everybody agrees that they will put a priority on adapting the community in ways or creating the community in ways that support aging in place. Our hope is that we can flourish here for the rest of our days. That said, there are, at this point, 2 completed and 1 almost completed senior co-housing communities in Canada, and none of them has an age restriction. So they are Wolf Willow in Saskatoon, Harbourside in Souk, and soon to be Westwind Harbour in Souk. They all talk about aging, and their members could be any age, but they are basically in their 50s and older. So while we're senior focused, we would love to have some younger people. Once in a while we have renters who've been here for a bit. We allow rentals, and we've had quite a flow through. And they contribute often the brawn and the energy that we find increasingly diminished in our community. So that's a real asset, having mixed generations. We had a number of core values, and one of them was being able to flourish as we aged in place. But another was sustainability, however one wants to interpret that, and there's so many ways. We've had an active co-care committee from the beginning. We have a suite in the basement that was the manager's suite when the common house was a vacation rental before we bought it. And our thought has always been that that's the highest and best use of that space would be to have a caregiver. So we do make it available for holidays, families visiting, that sort of thing, but if it's needed for a care purpose, that guests have to check out, and we use it for what it was intended. We don't offer assisted living, and we don't intend to, but we do care about each other. And when we care about each other, it's amazing the things that we'll do for each other.
In the early days when we first heard about COVID, and it sounded like it was probably going to be pretty serious, we immediately put into place a buddy system so that everybody was connected with somebody else. People volunteered to do shopping and errands for other people very, very naturally. And we had a big cooking session, so people cooked meals, and we filled our big freezer with meals. I think we're just good neighbors in that people aren't struggling on their own.
And we do as much as we are comfortable doing, and beyond that, try to support people to bring in the health care that they need. And that's convenient to the healthcare system, and we were right in town, and someone could come and deliver care to more than one household. At the moment, we haven't needed that, but we do have, people are getting older and more frail, and we worry about that. We're concerned about what's our population going to look like in 10 years? And what's the population of Canada going to look like in 10 years? But it's part of a bigger issue. So we just encourage each other to stay as healthy and active as we can, and to look after ourselves when we're sick. And we do have a freezer full of meals that people can use, also down in the lower level. And we recognize that this may be a much bigger problem than we're really prepared to deal with. The way we interpreted it was to build to Built Green Canada Gold standard, which is 20% better than the building code in terms of sustainable materials and energy saving. So we did achieve that, we're certified. That has ensured that our utility costs are very low. The smallest units average $24 a month for their hydro bills. We have propane in the common house for an entertaining fireplace and a very handy range that we can use when power goes out. We manage all of our own bio-waste. The District of Souk handles the sewage, which is pumped from the lowest point on our property up to this town sewer. On site, we have a diesel generator to test that pump monthly and to make sure it works if there's a power outage. We have a procedure for dealing with all of our vegetable matter. So we have something called a Joracan composter. We have 4 of them on the property that handles all of our kitchen scraps and has produced many people notice an improvement in the way our place looks over the years, and it's largely because of that composting system. So we have created soil that has nourished all the new plantings that we've put in. We have some green cone digesters for pet waste, bones, and fish scraps that are less successful, partly because the bear keeps digging them out of the ground. But we have nothing carted away to take by barge to Vancouver for composting. So we're always looking for other ways that we can live lighter on the land. We manage a woodland that we were able to acquire just to our western boundary, and we manage that in partnership with Habitat Acquisition Trust as a refuge for birds and the bear sometimes. And we're always looking for other ways that we can be better environmental stewards. I've been in conversation with CMHC about how do we prioritize this, and a consortium of academics has applied for some funding from the Social Science and Humanities Research Council to look into this very thing. And since we've experienced COVID-19, it has become particularly clear what a great way co-housing offers for aging in place. So for those who see this as far better than the institutional alternatives and far more affordable, far safer, just a whole lot more fun, it would be wonderful to be able to provide more opportunities to create this. The project management side does not at the moment have the capacity. It's a very complex thing to take co-housing from an idea, oh, wouldn't it be fun to share a home, and bring it through to completion with people having homes that they've paid for at the end of the day, instead of losing all their money or it never happening. It's risky. It takes a lot of skill, a lot of work, and right now there's very limited capacity to manage these projects. So that's one area in which it needs to be easier. The other is there's no support. CMHC was very generous with some quite small grants to encourage affordability for Harbourside, and we do have one below market unit. But it would need to be much more than that to reduce the price point to the point where it would be accessible to many people who can barely afford to be in the housing market right now. And the price of housing has been so commodified, and it is the biggest source of most people's wealth, right? And as long as that's the case, it's hard to figure, without government support or other kinds of support, how to mass produce this kind of thing. I'm just really grateful that at least we're able to do a few projects and to create the word of mouth that brings the demand for so much more is really hard. It's very sad to me that of the hundreds of people who have gone through my workshops, we can only create housing for, a very small percentage of them.